don't think there's a game that Canada plays where these aren't the scenes. No matter where, no matter who, Canada are just developing a bit of a reputation as, one, a team that won't back down, and two, a team that will get under the skin of their opponent. It certainly happened tonight. They brought the fight, but they lost the battle. Final score in Montreal, it was Canada 0, Australia 1. Welcome back inside our One Soccer studio. This is Oh Canada, Oh Baby, part 1. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, John Conway with you. So the night didn't go as planned. I think there were some really good moments for Canada tonight, but it seems like the areas where they lacked tonight were predictable in terms of what we've grown to expect when it comes to this Canada side. When it's an open game, Canada play very well, and they typically punish groups, but against a well-organized defensive team, Canada has a very difficult time, just to a certain degree, breaking down that team, but more importantly, just putting the ball into the back of the net. John Conway, what were your main takeaway, or what was your main takeaway or takeaways from tonight's loss?
At the end of the day, I still think we have an issue with the center backs. I think that's my takeaway. I think Waterman could be at fault a bit on the goal. He doesn't close it down quick enough.
Yeah, we'll show the goal.
And we'll look at it. But I think, center back's an issue. I think Tajon Buchanan is a wild card and can be very dangerous. I thought Kone, when he can get going, is very good. I think right back is all Alistair Johnson, and he needs to get back quick. They're my takeaways.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest ones watching this match as well is just like, we know what Canada can be when they have space and can attack, and when they can counter and they have a free roll.
That was a real chance.
That was a big chance. And Waterman there, again, was too deep. He's out of position there. Here's the one for
Here's
me.
the goal. You think that Waterman can close?
He's got to block that.
Yeah,
That's got to be blocked.
Yeah.
It has to be blocked. And then we can talk about the rest of it.
Comedy of errors after.
There's a moment here where I think, Crépeau just gets himself caught following the ball and not adjusting quick enough and straight enough across, and he gets pulled out of line and makes it an easy finish.
Yeah. I mean, Nico Seeger will take the heat for just not knowing that the player was there behind him. They just brought in another center back and Luc de Fougerolles as well. Communication wasn't great, but it's like a series of errors. I agree. The first mistake, Waterman not able to close down quick enough. If that's Cornelius or Bombito, who's out, the thing about Canada, they close down time and space so quickly. Waterman's not that guy, especially when balls are played over the top.
Yep.
And if you want to press and play a higher line, that's something that you're going to have to deal with. And then the Seaguar. And I think that Crépeau completely drifted out of position as well. So even with the player sticking in his foot, diving in, the goalkeeper needs to be in a position to save that.
I think the biggest thing, I agree with you, Wheels, but I think
even with his foot,
I think the biggest thing with Waterman too, he has him in the corner.
Yeah.
And he almost just says, you can't score from here and nothing can happen. But I think as a defender, you always talk about, I always said too, you know this too, because defenders could leave keepers for dead if you lunge and reach so far, because the best players will put that through your legs. But you have to reach a little bit.
No,
you have to get your foot open a little bit to get that block. And he's just like, well, this player's in the corner. But it's actually a very decent ball that's cut back. It should be dealt with, obviously, by Seaguar, but it's just a bit lackadaisical and a bit nonchalant. And then it gets punished right away. So
the thing that I don't like is when he goes out to close it down, he's almost in the corner. And I can see if you go out in the box and you have your hands to your side and back. Out that far out, what does it matter? Get low and defend properly.
Push him off balance.
Yes.
This,
and it was just too easy. And you brought up a great point, Wheels. Center backs, Cornelius and Bombito, are able to close down space and make the field small.
100%.
Right? And late in games,
even Davies when he's there too.
Late in this game specifically, when they're chasing it and they throw a bunch of forwards on the field, they're going after it. I think that is when they're going to be the most vulnerable without those two center backs in. Because if better teams, and you saw a little bit here with Australia, better teams will be able to counter quickly and take advantage of that. And Canada will lose that ability of being able to press and pin guys in, because those two guys, the center backs that you wish were playing there aren't going to be there, and it's going to be a problem.
There was a late barrage by Canada as well. I thought that Promise David kind of added that little punch that Canada required throughout. But really, a call that kind of defined the game in a certain way, and there was a lot of time that came after a lot of football, was early in the first half, 3 or 4 minutes in, when Tajon Buchanan was taken down inside the area.
Yep.
I mean, I think that all of us unanimously thought that should have been a penalty.
Pointing to the spot.
I'm actually shocked that it wasn't.
Yep.
The defender came through and didn't make any contact with the ball. At very best, it was obstruction against Buchanan. He completely took the player out of the play without touching the ball.
I think it was a reckless tackle. He goes straight through him.
We'll take a look at this. I mean, on the broadcast, they didn't share the same sentiments, but how isn't this a penalty?
It's a pen. He goes straight through him.
I just don't even know.
Like, he doesn't get the ball. It's a penalty for me. Like, I was really shocked. Watching it over, watching it live, looks like a pen. I'm pointing to the spot all day long.
Well, we'll get into some of the certain players and other takeaways that we had coming out of the match. But first, let's hear from the manager, Jesse Marsch, after the 1-0 loss here tonight.
Yeah, we knew. I apologize for my voice ahead of time. There's a good crowd, so I had to yell a bit. We knew there was going to be difficulty breaking them down, and that they're a very stingy team defensively. We needed to be a little bit sharper in some of the final third moments, and maybe if we're a little bit luckier in a couple little moments that we can come away with something. But for me, the ideas were good. The connections on the pitch and the way that we tried to find space and test them behind their back line was good. The counter pressing and controlling their possession and controlling our defensive transition moments was good. We spoke about Nico at the end of the game with the team, and it's unfortunate with the mistake that he makes, but like, he's a young player, a very important player for us, and I thought that he played a very good game and has been very good for us over the last 6 months. But it's moments like this that can make the difference in the most important games, and so this is a moment for him and us to know, like, we have to handle that moment 100%, and that's their only shot on goal, right? So as much as we could have been a little bit better around our final third and maybe find a way to get a goal through a set piece or through a counter-pressing moment or through some of our little possession play, I still think there was a lot of good performances. I think the ideas of how to try to get the goal in the game and contain the opponent, that all these things were very good. And this is how Australia plays. They're good at accepting pressure. They're good at defending. They're good at set-piece defending, and they try to get you on the counter at moments and see if they can get you to make a mistake, and that's what happened with us today.
Do we agree with Jesse Marsch's assessment of his team's performance here tonight? Do you agree that there's a lot of positive to take from this, Jordan? Or maybe, I know the term a wake-up call is used. I don't think it's a wake-up call, but perhaps he's looking to put a little bit of a positive spin on a disappointing night, because games like this, as the games become much more cagey, much more tight, teams come to the World Cup, no Canada strength. Then in a wide open game that looks a lot like a track meet, Canada will burn you. I mean, that's why teams like Ukraine were completely naive when playing this Canadian team. This is how Australia plays, and this is how they had success at the last World Cup, beating the likes of Denmark on their way to the knockout round. So I think that rather than wake-up call, perhaps that's the reality setting in, that there needs to be a little bit of a diversification and that finish and the ability to create those chances that Marsch is kind of speaking to, for me, just needs to step up and be better come that time.
You asked me about my takeaways earlier, and we were getting into the match a little bit, but for me, the biggest takeaway that was highlighted was Canada still have a hard time breaking down a 5-4-1. I will say, as a former player that played this game in the midfield, it was my worst game, trying to break down teams that have a low block. There's no space. But on the other hand, I kind of agree with Marsch, because there was still the Schaffelberg chance.
Yeah,
there was still
great chance.
That, for me, is 100%.
That's the score.
You have to score. You hit it anywhere other than at the keeper, it's in the back of the net. Promise David came on, looked electric, was bullying players, getting shots off. And sometimes when you play a game like that, where it's cagey and it's tight, it just doesn't go your way. Their keeper had a great day. It just seemed to just be shot at him and always have a save.
It always found him, right?
It always found him. So it's just one of those things where Canada were trying, and you could see even on a day where there was that low block and they couldn't really break it down, they still had opportunities to take over and win the game. So I'm going to take that as a positive. But with 7 months going into the World Cup, people are going to play Canada just like this. Teams are going to play them like that.
Okay,
and they have to learn how to break that down.
Then what's the solution? Like, how does Canada find a way to unlock that and be able to execute better in those moments?
Well, that's where I was going with this. If they knew, and clearly Jesse knew that this is how they're going to play, did they prepare accordingly, knowing that that was going to be the case? Like, are you creating actions, repetitive actions that you know will help break this down? And if you keep doing it, you're going to get your chances.
Yeah.
But do they train that, or are they doing that, leading up to this game
I think
to prepare, or are they more focused on his sort of traits and personality of fast, press, go all the time?
Wheels, I don't know how you feel, but I thought in the first half there were moments where they found space in behind, specifically down that right side with Tejan Buchanan. Like, yes, were there 100% chances? No. But you could see that there was a clear plan to try to play quickly, get Ali Ahmed, get Tejan Buchanan in the game. Kone was electric driving through. It just didn't fall for them on the day. So was it a great performance in terms of finding space? No, but I like that in a moment where there was a robust Australian 11. They still have moments and highlights here. Like, for me, Schaffelberg has to put that away. That's 1-1. You count the pen, you count Promise David chances as well. There was enough for Canada to take the lead today.
I'll just say this, like, Canada's strength over recent games have been in wide areas. That's the goal. That's the play that Schaffelberg has to finish. When you overload in wide areas, which they've been very good at, against a team that has 5 at the back, they're happy. You can stay outside. This is where I think you need a little bit more in the middle of the park. You need to be able to find numerical advantages inside. And this is why sometimes when they play with just those 2 midfielders, it's impacted.
Yep.
Like, you just don't have the numbers in the proper areas. It was very interesting to me that perhaps one of the most quiet players on the field was Jonathan David. In a game like this, like, he's the type of player that you want to unlock teams, but I find that he's better not when he's dropping deep, when he's playing high.
Yes.
And this is where I think there needs to be a little bit of a rethink here. And that's up to the coaching staff to do that. And then late in the game when you're chasing it, just throwing on a bunch of attackers, like there was like 3 or 4 strikers on at the same time. Yep. Oluwaseyi wide left, and then Schaffelberg was playing from a deeper role. Is that your solution? When you need a goal late, just throw in a bunch of attackers, because it kind of lost their identity at that moment as well. So just some things to think about. Look, you're going to come away with results like this. You just got to make sure when the margins are so slim come next summer that you can rectify some of these mistakes, and the team is a lot more clinical in moments like this. Let's discuss some individual performances, because Kyle Larin was in the spotlight to start this one and ended up basically out in the dark.